The Galactic Council chamber fell into an eerie silence as Ambassador Xyrax of the Velthrian Empire studied the data stream before him. His three eyes blinked in rapid succession, a sign of profound disturbance among his species. Across the holographic table sat Annie Chen, humanity's representative. Her expression calm and unreadable. "This cannot be accurate," Xyrax finally spoke, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into perfect standard Galactic. "Your species has been operating at 23% capacity." Annie leaned back in her chair, a slight smile playing at the corners of her lips. "That's correct, Ambassador. We call it peacetime operations. It's more economical." The revelation had begun 3 weeks earlier, when the Kryn swarm of force that had decimated 17 star systems made the catastrophic mistake of attacking human colony world Kepler-4. The Council had prepared memorial protocols, assuming the young human civilization would be erased like all others before them. Instead, they witnessed something that would fundamentally alter their understanding of humanity. Commander Massey Rodriguez had been on shore leave when the Kryn arrived. He was fishing an ancient human ritual the other species found peculiarly wasteful. When the evacuation sirens began, most species would have panicked. Massey simply reeled in his line, packed his gear, and walked to the nearest military depot. "You know what to do," the sergeant at the depot had said, handing him a rifle and body armor. "Yeah," Massey replied, checking his weapon with practiced ease. "Same as the drills, the drills." That phrase would haunt the Galactic Council for years to come. What the Council witnessed through their monitoring satellites defied every tactical doctrine they had established over millennia. The humans didn't retreat to fortified positions. They didn't call for reinforcements from neighboring systems. They simply changed within 6 hours. Kepler-440 to be transformed from a peaceful agricultural colony into a militarized fortress. Factories that produced farming equipment retooled to manufacture ammunition. Civilian transports became troop carriers. Scientists became soldiers. The transformation was so seamless, so rehearsed, that it seemed almost casual. Massey found himself leading a platoon of former teachers, engineers, and artists. They moved through the colony's outskirts with the precision of career soldiers. Because, in a sense, they were. Every human underwent military training. Every human maintained combat readiness. It was simply part of their culture, woven into the fabric of their society so deeply that other species had missed it entirely. "Contact! 200 meters, someone called out. The Kryn warriors were formidable, 3 meters tall. Armored exoskeletons, acid sprayers that could melt through durasteel. They had destroyed armies across the galaxy. Against Massey's unit of civilians, they lasted for minutes. Target down, Massey reported, stepping over the dissolving corpse without breaking stride. Advancing to checkpoint Echo, back in the Council chamber. Annie watched the battle footage play across the holodisplay. The other ambassadors watched in horrified fascination as humanity's true nature revealed itself. "But your economic output," protested Ambassador Thrun, her crystalline form refracting light in agitated patterns. "Your trade reports, your industrial capacity, everything suggested you were operating at full capability." "Oh, that was full capability," Annie clarified. "Full capability for peacetime. We didn't see the need to mention our wartime economy. It never came up in the membership negotiations." Xyrax's mandibles clicked nervously. "And your wartime economy operates at 100%, naturally." Annie pulled up another data stream. "Would you like to see the conversion rates? Within 72 hours of a level 5 threat, we can transition approximately 93% of our industrial base to military production. Food production becomes calorie optimization for soldiers. Entertainment becomes propaganda and morale operations. Medical research pivots to combat trauma and performance enhancement." That's insane," whispered Ambassador Kelrix, his gill slits fluttering in distress. "No species maintains that kind of dual-capacity infrastructure. It's economically impossible," and he shrugged. "We learned early in our history that peace is just the intermission between wars. We got good at making the most of both. Besides, the psychological benefits are substantial. Humans tend to get restless without purpose." On Kepler-4, the battle reached its conclusion. The Kryn swarm, which had never retreated in its 3,000-year history, withdrew in disarray. They had arrived with 12,000 warriors. 300 limped back to their ships. Human casualties, 67 wounded, 12 killed. Massey stood in the colony's central square, surrounded by his platoon. They were already cleaning weapons, cataloging ammunition expenditure, and filing after-action reports. Tomorrow, they would return to their regular jobs. The teachers would teach. The engineers would engineer. The artists would create. The colony would rebuild. It was just another drill, after all. The council meeting continued for hours. Annie patiently explained humanity's concept of total war preparation. How every human city had underground bunkers. How every human child learned basic combat and survival skills alongside mathematics and literature. How their entertainment media was filled with stories of war, conflict, and survival, not because they loved violence, but because they never wanted to forget its lessons. When your species applied for council membership, Zyrax said slowly, you submitted cultural documentation, music, art, literature. We analyzed it for compatibility with galactic civilization. I remember, and he nodded. Every third piece of human creative output involves warfare, survival, or conflict. Closer to half, actually, and he corrected gently. We just submitted the more peaceful examples. We thought it might smooth the application process. The implications crashed over the council like a tidal wave. Humanity hadn't been hiding their nature maliciously. They simply hadn't realized how unusual they were. In their mind, every species surely maintained emergency military protocols and dual-use infrastructure. The fact that they were the only ones who did this had never occurred to them. So when you attend our sessions, Thrin said carefully, when you vote on trade agreements and cultural exchanges and scientific cooperation, we're entirely sincere, and he assured her. We genuinely want peace. We genuinely value cooperation and mutual prosperity. We're not warmongers, Ambassador. We just prepare for the alternative. While operating at 23%, Zyrax muttered. 23%, and he confirmed. She stood, gathering her data tablets. If it's any consolation, the Kryn won't bother you anymore. Massey's report indicated they're retreating to their home cluster. Something about humans being demons and not worth the biomass. As she left the chamber, the council sat in stunned silence. Somewhere in the galaxy, Commander Massey Rodriguez was back at his favorite fishing spot, a beer in one hand and his rod in the other. He was already planning next week's vacation. After all, that's what humans did during peacetime. They waited.